All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Alchemy Podcast. This is a reunion happening here. I'm here with my cousin, Misty Tripoli.
Yep.
Last time I saw you, we were talking out here. It was 25 years ago.
25 years ago.
And I remember you and all your sisters came over to my mom's house. And it was like summer party, hangout with Kim and Rinda and the whole squad. I remember meeting you and I remember thinking like, Misty Tripoli is so cool.
Why would you think that?
Yeah, because you had like the dreads and the vibe and you're doing your groove method and you just had like this swagger about you. And I remember thinking like, my cousin Misty is awesome.
Thanks, Doug.
Because when I was like little, I don't have that many memories.
Yeah, I don't have any either.
Yeah, I just feel like you weren't around.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you're kind of off doing your thing.
Yeah.
And then this is actually, you don't know this, but last fall, I was on a bunch of peptides. You know, you familiar with peptides? Yeah. NAD, tesamorelin, right? And I was like testing all of them. And sometimes when you take too much NAD, you get flushed. I don't know if you've ever taken it and you just feel it's kind of intense. You feel like you're in a flush. So one morning, it was like 5 a.m. to get up early. I took a bunch of NAD and I had this flush happen where I like passed out and had to like literally lay down because it was like, whoa, this is too intense. And I kind of like went unconscious for a sec. And while I was unconscious, I thought of you. And like had this vision thing with you that was so bizarre. And I woke up and I'm like, what was that? Like Misty Tripoli. And then literally within a week, we reconnected on Instagram. I've never told you that.
See, but everything is so perfectly like, of course.
Yeah.
But how wild that, of course, I came through.
Yeah. I know. And I talked to Michelle, my sister, and I'm like, the weirdest thing happened. I like passed out from one of my peptides and like, I thought of Misty Tripoli. She's like, what? Do you talk to her? I'm like, no, I haven't talked to her in 25 years. Mm-hmm. She's like, what do you think that means? I'm like, no idea. And then literally we started following each other again on Instagram and I like freaked out and I sent it to Michelle and I'm like, Misty just followed me. Like, what is going on? Like our energies are like circling and now we've come here.
Yeah. Well, and the really cool thing is after watching, because I didn't know what you were up to. I didn't know what was going on with you. And when I started listening to your episodes, I was like, this mofo is in alignment with what, like, this dude gets it. Like, how cool to watch you and to listen to you speak. I was just like, yeah, this is some cool stuff.
Then it's in the blood, Misty.
It's in the blood.
It's in the family blood. Yeah. And I mean, I have a lot of questions for you.
Ask away.
Because we haven't spoken. So you've always, I mean, I could always tell you've been kind of free-spirited and flowing and free. And I think that's why I was so drawn to you as a kid. So it was like, here's this woman and she's confident and you can tell she's free-spirited and she doesn't have these bounds. Have you always kind of been this spiritual, free, confident woman, or did that come later?
Well, it's a really interesting question. When I was little, I remember walking through like middle school I just felt like I owned the place. I was like, I'd felt like that as being head cheerleader. I was just like, I'm the shit. But at the same time, being a woman in America, you know, I started bulimia when I was like 16 years old and just trying to control my body and my weight. And I was also a fitness expert. But amongst all of it, even though I was struggling with my body and, you know, trying to look perfect or be perfect, I always had this deep underlying, there's something about me. It's a weird thing, not like I'm better than anyone else or anything like that. It was like I could taste the essence of God in me and that my only job is to let that shine.
That's really well put because I feel very similar. I remember when I was in second grade, it's just the most random memory. And I was walking in the halls of Oakwood Elementary School. Did you go to Oakwood?
No, but yeah. Butler.
Butler, right? You're just up the street.
Yep.
I was in Oakwood Elementary School. I was in second grade and I saw my teacher walking toward me and I was there early before school started. And she's like, hey, Doug, how are you? And I remember I could see and like understand her soul on a different level. And I'm like, I'm doing really well. How are you? You know, and just like able to like talk to her on a different depth and being able to see her and then being able to see kind of throughout the day, remember being able, felt like I was like above I don't know how to explain it. Like not on an ego level, but like I was kind of above the reality and I could kind of see what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of always been my whole life. And I remember thinking, oh, there's something different happening here. I'm seeing something that other people aren't seeing. I didn't have words for it at the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, whether that's being connected on a spiritual plane or whatever, I feel like I've had that my whole life of being able to really connect with people and see people for who they really are and understand them on a soul level. And then to take that and navigate reality kind of from that stance, that state, has been a massive benefit for me. And again, in your point, it's not that it's better, it's just a different realm or a different experience. And I can see that in you. And I think that's why I was so drawn to you when I met you. I'm like, wow, this is my cousin. Like, she's so cool. But you had that in, you know, obviously when you're the head cheerleader growing up in Utah. I'm curious too, because I want to go deeper into your story. Your sisters, everyone's has alpha energy.
Yes.
It's really intense. When you guys all get around, it's a party.
Watch out.
It's a party.
Mm-hmm.
It's a party. What influence did that have, do you feel like, on this whole confident empowerment role? Were you influenced by your sisters?
I don't think it was so much my sisters as my mom. I'm so grateful for the experience that I had with my father leaving and just all of it. When I look back with just like, that's exactly what I needed to be the person that I am today.
Mm. How old were you when your dad left?
8. Yeah.
What was that experience like?
At the time, horrific. It was, I remember being pulled aside and my teacher pulled me out and could tell something was wrong with me. I was trying to hide it. And she pulled me back to her desk and she's like, is everything okay at home? And I just started sobbing right there at school. I dropped my pencil several times so I could, try to put myself together. And it was traumatic. But it's like where you're at, it's like, what a blessing, and it just, I love the fact that it taught me to stand on my own 2 feet at a very young age and to watch my mom mother 7 children by herself. No financial help, no support, no nothing. And my mom did it. And she raised 7 badass women.
Yeah.
Well, 6 badass women and 1 dude. He's actually not, he's kind of lost.
Yeah.
But all the women, all independent.
Incredible.
All strong.
Yeah. Wendy's a one of one.
Yes, she is.
There's no one else, there was no one else like Wendy, Aunt Wendy, she was strong. And, how would you describe, for some, obviously, no one knows your mom, probably listening to this podcast. How would you describe Wendy to someone who didn't ever get to meet her?
A powerful Taurus bull. She'll just make it work, whatever it is. She could do anything, make anything, master anything. To watch, I've never seen anyone, and I still marvel at this because I don't have this quality and I don't see it in a lot of people. Whatever she touched, she mastered. And she wouldn't stop till she could teach it.
She was an incredible teacher.
Yes,
she was tapped into something totally different than I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
I remember, connecting with her at a barbecue, and she was just I felt seen by her.
Yeah.
I'm 14 and she was telling me, about my chart. She was the first person who ever talked to me about astrology, and I'm 14. I'm like, what the hell is my aunt? My aunt's crazy. Like,
yes.
And Wendy was crazy out to me when I was 14.
Yeah. And
then as I evolved and got older, I started to appreciate her work a lot more. And I remember Denise, my twin sister, was saying, hey, have you ever gotten a reading by Aunt Wendy? And I'm like, no. She's like, you need to do it. I've gotten one. It's amazing. And as I got older, I started to appreciate it a little bit more. But how would you describe what she was able to access? What was that, do you think?
My mom, well, number one, deep wisdom. And she was a wise counselor and a wise woman. And I think that she was such a deep seeker. And I think a lot of that came from her upbringing as well. Kind of being the black sheep of the family. She's one of 10 and she was the black sheep. And she had to find her own way. And, from her father and mother pretty much disowning her because she was unworthy and, being excommunicated from the church and all of this stuff. And all she ever wanted was her dad's approval. And he just was awful to her. And I don't have a great taste in my mouth with my grandparents at all. And they didn't like me either. I was the evil one because my bathing suits were inappropriate. And And my mom was just tapped into something she was always seeking. And that's why she came to astrology, was that she goes like, I've got these 7 children and I feel like I'm this terrible parent and I want to learn. I want to know about why there's something else running the show here. And so she wanted to understand more of the matrix and this system that makes up the matrix and the program, which is basically astrology it's a program. And my mom was just a seeker, and she was a wise woman and was always out on the edge, from being a state legislator at 25 years old, the youngest state legislator, elected official in Utah, going to the state capitol with breastfeeding at like my mom was just like that woman. I don't even know the word other than she was connected.
Yeah. Yeah. And you could feel that when you were around her.
Yeah.
And there was obviously being on a different side of it, there's phases where she was very much a part of kind of my upbringing. And then there was times where she wasn't. And then she kind of come back in and whatnot and back and forth. And so, I was lucky. I do feel blessed I was able to build a relationship with her, but didn't get to really connect with her in the last couple of years. Right. And so, as I look at those memories, I carry them, really close to my heart. And at the same time, so I want to talk about it, she's, how long has it been since she's passed now?
Since November.
November, right? So we're about 6 months since the passing. And the reason you're in town, right, is because there was a celebration for her tomorrow.
Yes.
Right. Really excited for that. I want to talk about grief because I'm experiencing grief at a whole new level while I'm still alive. Right. And when my dad got sick in 2011, I didn't feel comfortable enough or didn't know how to talk about death. And in our house, when my dad was sick and he was on hospice, it was like, we can't say dad's going to die because then it's real. Then it'll come true sooner. And so that whole experience with my dad, I never got to ask my dad, like, what do you think's going to happen when you die? And I never once had a conversation with my dad about his cancer and that he was going to die. Not once. And so he passed in August 2011. And then I didn't even mourn his death, like really mourn, until the first time I ever did mushrooms. 2016, I did 6 grams of mushrooms, put a blindfold on, and just dealt with my dad's death. It was very cathartic, screaming and snot bubbles and the whole thing. So I'm curious, from your perspective, as your mom was sick, what was your experience like with kind of closing that chapter with her? Did you get a chance to say the things you wanted to say? Did you get to close out that chapter? And now that she's passed, what's your experience like been with grief?
It's really odd because I'm 55 this year.
Yeah.
And she's the first person in my life that I've lost.
Wow.
At 55, experiencing death for the first time. Anyone close to me. I've had a couple dogs pass, which was pretty traumatic, but it's not my mom. What's really interesting is that my mom was my wise counselor for many years. She's the one I went to. And her and I talked about death all the time. And not even like necessarily her death or whatever, but her and I were very much on the same page in a lot of philosophical ideas about death. And I'm a realist. My mom always said, you're a sensitive ice cube, because I just see things for exactly what they are. And life is a temporary moment here. We're all going to die. It is part of the deal. You don't know how, when, and when you go, hopefully you're living your best fucking life. That's the key right there. And so my mom, when we would talk about it, it's almost like she had the same kind of feel about it too. Like it was like, it's inevitable. And at some points she was just like, I'm ready to check out. This is before she even was sick. She was just like, I could go at any time. Like there's things I still want to do. And then when she started to become ill, she went very quickly. So the moment we got the call from my mom and she couldn't complete a sentence, we're like, everyone get there now. And it took about a week. And so we got to be with her that last week. She wasn't super coherent, but just to be in the room with her. And I was actually holding her on her last breath. Rinda and I were together and she took her last breath. And it was really interesting. I just was in this state of, you're at peace now. You're at no more pain. Like, I know, just wanted to ask her, who's here with you?
Yeah.
Like,
what are you seeing?
What's going on? And I kept asking her, like, who's here with you? Because she would say, the reaching out and all of that.
She did the reach.
She did the reach, and she would start saying names, and just, it was really, and I knew that room was filled with loved ones. I knew it was. I could feel it. And so for me, it was actually a beautiful experience, and to be there and to witness it. It was sad to see her not, because her husband had passed away like several months before it, and she never really got to do the stuff she wanted to do without her husband. Her husband was a heavy weight on her for 30 years. And I think that was her biggest regret on her deathbed, is that she wasted so much of her life with him. At first it was love and it was all of that. And then you get so much older that you just stay because it's easier to stay.
Comfortable.
Right. But so I was sad for her for that, but everyone's just like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, I'm not. Now she's with me all the time. So it's like, I actually talk to her more now than I did when she was alive. So I don't have this, oh my God, my mom, I cried when she passed, obviously. But after that, I was just like, guys, she's with us. She's right here. She hasn't gone anywhere.
It reminds me of the story of Robert Krishna, who had a bunch of followers in an ashram in India, really high being. And he got cancer and he's about to die. And his devotees are like,
devastated.
Devastated. We're going to miss you. You can't leave us. What are we going to do? And he's looking like, where am I going to go? I have nowhere to go. I might drop my body, but I'm going to be right here. And I think the same thing in my life, as I'm sitting with death now. Now, statistically speaking, I have a year and a half. That was my diagnosis with my brain cancer. And I've been thinking the same thing. It's like, and I've shared this before, but it's super crazy. A year ago at this time, I got really obsessed with Ram Dass, like down the Ram Dass rabbit hole, all the way in. And he has a whole lecture series on aging and dying. And I listened to it multiple times over the summer. And comboed that with my studies with Michael Singer, Untethered Soul. And I've been on this train for 10 years. And then I get my diagnosis and I'm like, oh, my entire spiritual path has led me here. And I can carry death so sweetly right now. I don't want to die. I hope I don't die for a long time, but I probably am going to die. And to hear you say those words, I agree with you. It's like, oh, I might shed my body, but where am I going to go? I'm going to be right here. You can be able to taste it. So my question to you is, because my dad died in 2011. I've only had one real experience where I felt him, and it was in the hospital post-surgery. When you say you feel your mom, you talk to your mom, can you go into more detail of like what that experience is like for you? How do you know? Like, how do you quantify that?
It's like the wise counselors just right there. And my mom also did a lot of tarot. And that was one of the main things I'd always call her for, is not just astrology. I was just like, anytime, because I'm Libra, so I'm wishy-washy. It's hard for me to make a decision. And so I know kind of what I want, but I would always have my mom do a reading on it to give me the clarity and the direction. She had this one set of tarot deck. It was her favorite. She had like 25 decks, but her favorite, it was the worn out in this little box. And it was one of the things I wanted to take. So I took that and I'm fascinated with it. So that sits next to my bed and I pull it out and my mom is guiding me the whole time. And I know she's there. She's teaching me how to use it, like what things mean. I just get a sense of things and I know it's coming from her. It's not like my mom's voice, hey, Misty. But it's just this sense that she is there. And then, I live out in the jungle of Mexico. And I'm out there by myself. And so in the mornings, I just sit out by my pool with my coffee and stare off into the jungle. And it's like conversation. And I just know the answer. It's not like a voice. It's just like, and I can feel her going, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you and what you've done and what you've accomplished and that you're living your dream. She even told me that several times living. She's like, this is kind of crazy. You are so lucky you don't have children. She would say that to me. You are absolutely free. You get to do whatever you want, when you want, and how you want. I would love for that. I've always wanted to be free to do what I want and travel and sing. And you love dance and you did it. You went and you became a dancer and you went and, so she would always tell me that, like, and I can hear that with her. And she's sitting there with me drinking coffee, which is what I would do when I would go to her house, is we'd sit out on the patio and drink coffee and have really deep conversation. So it's just that sense of, I know how she, like, the answers are just there. Like, she's like, it's in there.
Yeah, I always know that I'm talking to God when it's like this deeper part of my soul is at peace. It's just calm, steady, right? And that's when I kind of know I'm connecting. And, you know, going back into your story, one thing I've always admired you about as I kind of dove into your Instagram, you know, you hear all the time, like, let's get off the grid and move and screw the system. And no one does it. Like, no one does it. You did it.
I did it.
You left the US. You've got this amazing, it looks amazing, you know, compound in the jungle in Tulum. And you're like rescuing dogs and it just looks like paradise. And you actually did it. So I want to hear it because I don't know. I want to hear more about how this all came to be, when you made the decision, what it was like, what it took. Like, were you scared? I want to know all the details. Like, I didn't even know you were in Mexico until a couple months ago.
Which is crazy. Oh, yeah, and I've been there 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I knew 5 years before I left the United States, because one thing I get very clearly is I receive vision or just a knowingness. And it's like you said, this calm. I just get this, like, very clear, very direct, this is it. And I knew I was going to leave the United States. And I would write in my journal, I'm going to move south of the border. I didn't know what that meant. I just wrote it in my journal 5 years before I did it. And then when the opportunity came, I was at a point in my life where I was bankrupt. I was at the absolute end of my rope.
Were you in Utah?
I was living in California.
California.
Yeah, I was in Los Angeles. I was a top fitness trainer.
Yeah.
And
where were you in LA?
I was in LA, like Santa Monica.
I lived in Venice for years.
So we were neighbors.
We were neighbors. What years were you there?
Let's see. I'm so bad with years, but I've lived in Mexico for 18 years, and I lived there for 15 years before that.
Yeah. I lived in Venice Beach for 3.5 years.
I love Venice
Beach.
Best.
Yeah. The best.
So I was really close to that.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of
West Side.
Yeah. West Side.
Yeah, the best.
I was miserable. And I was just trying to keep up with the Joneses. I was trying to be, trying to hang out with the movie stars. And
you were there because your fitness organization was really, really successful. Like you were it.
Well, when I was doing fitness back then, I was working for another company.
Got it.
I didn't have the World Groove movement at the time. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just one of the top instructors in LA, and I was teaching at Sports Club LA and Equinox, and I was the director of a big chain of clubs, and I was training all the instructors, and I was at the top of my game.
You were doing the LA thing.
I was so LA.
You were so LA.
I was so stupidly LA and bulimic.
Yeah.
And just everything was a secret and a lie. And I didn't know who I was. It was a complete facade. And then one day that's a long story, but my boyfriend at the time was a pothead. And I used to judge him and criticize him and condemn him for smoking. And I'd always try to make him feel bad. And he finally just called me on my shit. And he was like, listen, don't talk about something you know nothing about. Because he happened to be also the smartest dude I've ever met. But it pissed me off that he was so smart and he was a pothead. I was just like, rah!
Yeah.
I want to control him like all women want, And I couldn't. And then finally he goes, if you ever want to learn about it, I will teach you. Took me several weeks to let my ego calm down enough. And then I said, okay, teach me. And pulls out the bong, take a hit, and mama disappeared.
Wow.
It was like doing ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And my whole life changed in that moment.
Yeah.
The whole veil fell. The third dimension completely deconstructed for me.
Was it a visual hallucination that changed?
No.
Or was it more of like a knowing?
Just, for me, it's knowing. It was just like, I have been lied to since the moment of my birth. Why do I believe anything? I was not born to do this. Like, I no longer believed anything. Anyone, I was like, my government lies to me. My church lied to me. Like, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, who am I? Who is this Misty character that, was trying to be this and that and that, and I didn't know who I was, and it just woke me up, and it put me in absolute alignment in a moment, and my power, and that power I knew I had all throughout my youth, I connected to, and then I started getting dizzy because I was just like, this is
This is off one bong hit.
One bong hit.
First time. Wow.
One bong hit. And then he goes, he could see I was going to probably pass out. So he put music on and he said, dance. You're a dancer, dance. And I started to move, and I had never connected that deeply with my body, I could feel the cells in my skin, and I was just like, and in that moment I was free. I was completely free. I no longer gave a flying fuck what anyone thought of me, what I did. That's when I dreadlocked my hair. I was like, I'm done. No more. I quit my job. I was like, I will not be a slave. I will not work. I was bankrupt. I didn't know how I was going to pay my rent. I was like, I'd rather eat out of a trash can than anyone ever telling me what to do. I will own my time. And I invested 70 hours a week on that job. What would happen if I turned 70 hours a week on myself? And that's what I did. And I sat in a big, huge chair and I started meditating 8 hours a day. And then I would dance about 3 hours a day. And then when I would dance, I would get high and I would go into the studio and I would just, for the first time in my life, just let myself dance with no purpose other than making myself feel good. And I would get lost in the groove. And that's where the groove method came from.
So what is the groove method? What's the similarities to so when I hear that in my head, I'm like, oh, it seems like an ecstatic dance, but way more intentional, right? So educate me.
Okay. So the groove method and how it came about, which was cool, is that when I was dancing, I would, the rhythm would take over. And what I'm realizing now is this is ancient tribal dance brought back to modern time in a real cool, funky way. So it's like my body would get into this repeated pattern, not ecstatic. It would get into, and then I could groove it and make it me. And I could all types of music, but that was the groove. And so what it ended up being is groove is facilitated. It's a group dance experience that is facilitated, where the facilitator unites everyone in a common movement. So ecstatic dance, everyone's just doing their own thing. And
no
most of the people aren't even connected to the music. They dance the same way to every song. And it's just, right. Groove is very different. So we dance from funk, hip hop, techno, house, classical. We bring in everything. And we unify everyone in something that everyone can do, whether it's a walk. The whole song might just be walking to the song, but everyone is united, in sync together, but then everyone's doing it their own unique way. They can go whatever direction. You don't have to be coordinated. You don't have to memorize, but there is structure. And that structure, which is tribal dance, that connected rhythm everyone's in, is what actually unifies everyone. And what I have found is that most people are, when they have the experience of groove, they're like, what just... And all they did was shake their ass with a bunch of people, to hip hop music. They're like, why was that a spiritual experience? And it's because you've never actually gone into a place where you have unified. You're not just doing your own thing. You are connected to the whole group, moving as one. But it's what we are. We're united and unique. You get to be authentically you, but connected to the whole. And there's not many things that allow us to do that. And that's what the groove is all about.
And it sounds like you're tapping into social flow.
Completely.
Right? The group together increases the connection and it just builds and it's transformative. It sounds like it's incredibly healing and cathartic for a lot of people. So I can't even imagine the stories you've heard of people healing.
Tens of thousands.
Everything.
I get bombarded. You have no idea. And now even with my app where I guide people at home, just in their own home, where they can, and I have people on the screen with me, but they're getting the same experience, even from their TV watching, letting me groove them in their own home and coaching them through movement. It's been wild.
You get kind of this download, this inspiration through groove method. And then how did you take it to the world?
Well, that's the next big thing that was mind boggling. One of the really cool things about it is the moment I started grooving, bulimia disappeared. 16 years of making... More. Well, I had been bulimic for 16 years, literally throwing up 3 times a day until I'd vomit blood because I was so scared of getting fat. It was the most terrifying thing in my life.
Getting Abeg genes.
Getting the Abeg genes. Yeah. I was so terrified of getting fat. And that was unacceptable to me. And if you go back to even psychology behind it, is that my father couldn't accept fat people either. It's interesting, the psychology, deep. I've done all the work. Yeah. I'm like, I see where all the links are.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Now I see it all and it's all a blessing. But, oh shit, what was the question?
How did you take groove method to the world?
Oh, how to take groove method to the world. So
your bulimia just disappeared. Yeah.
I just woke up and I was like, when was the last time I threw up?
So you kind of just forgot about it.
Completely.
Yeah.
Where it used to control everything I ate, how I got rid of it, all the exercise. I was obsessive compulsive. After that, smoking weed disappeared. Gone. And dance healed me completely. And I was in pain. I was in my 30s in excruciating pain as a fitness professional. No more pain. Felt so good in my body because I was moving my way in a way that felt really good. And I was aligning myself. So when this vision came to me for the Groove Method, and what was cool is that when it came to me, the name came, the logo came, I saw myself teaching it around the world. I saw millions of people doing it. I saw my master trainers. I saw the whole thing. And then I went into fear because I was like, oh, really? How in the hell is that supposed to happen? Little old me, one person in California, how am I going to get this out to the masses? And this just deep knowing faith. You have faith in what I have given you, and it will take care of you for the rest of your life. And I just went blind. I was like, okay. But the way that I left Mormon when I was 21 years old, but I have always been on a spiritual, I've always been questioning what is real. I went into the seeker. I'm just a total seeker. Mom. Yeah. And I've done the Ram Dass. I've gone deep into all of it. And then I went into Buddhism. I wanted to study. I wanted to know all of it. What's going on here? And so this deep have faith. And then the way I pray is I'm just like, yo, motherfucker, you gave me this vision because that's my personality. And I'm not going to be like, and dear heavenly, and that's not me. I'm not going to copy someone else's just because they say that's the way to do it. This is the way God made me. This is how I'm going to talk to you. It's my personality. It's how you made me. So let's have a chit chat here. So that's how I commune, is that it's not some, And so I command God, show me, make it obvious, make it so there's no doubt in my mind that what exactly I have to do in the next step, because I don't know what I'm doing. I've never run a business. I don't know what I'm doing. And within moments, within 2 weeks, I was signed to a contract with Nike.
How did that come to be?
I was teaching my fitness classes.
Yeah.
I quit my corporate job, which was running the gyms. And I was like, but I would always keep teaching because I love teaching so much. And they were launching their female fitness line of clothing at that time. And they were looking for female fitness athletes. And they came to LA and someone recommended me because I was one of the best in LA. And they came to my class. They signed me to a 7-year contract. And they took me, I couldn't have mapped it, planned it, nothing. I didn't have to do anything but show up and do what I do best. And that was the most magical, and everything has just come. I am a powerful, powerful manifester.
Yeah. Is that your human design?
I'm a manifesting generator.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it just came, and Nike opened. They put me on stages all around the world with thousands of people. And I was sharing this thing that everyone was like, what the hell was that we just did in a fitness conference where everyone's doing the follow the leader, monkey see, monkey do me. And I'm out there telling them, don't you dare look like me. Here's the move. And they were just like, and afterwards I would get literally rushed at the stage. How do I teach this? I need to learn more about this. And I'm just like, I just created it. I don't even really know. I don't have teaching systems. I just knew that this was, but let me take your email address. And when I do have something, I will contact you. And so a few years later, I had all the training systems and I just contacted all those people, had about 10,000 people in my mailing list. And I was filling up trainings all around the world. And then I started training the master trainers. And now I don't lead the trainings at all. I have a whole team that does it all.
Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah.
And it seems like, I've never done a groove. I would do a groove, but it sounds like it's an incredibly empowering, cathartic experience. Mm-hmm. And probably, I would assume, for the people who are going to this, it's the first time maybe in their life they feel empowered to express their true self.
Yes. And it blows their mind when they do it. That's why it's a spiritual experience, because it's not just that. It's expressing yourself, but without the fear, without the judgment, without all the shit that goes on in your head. I look stupid. I can't dance. Most people are like, I can't dance. Why can't you dance? Because someone told you couldn't dance. You're afraid of looking stupid. You don't want to embarrass yourself. You can't follow. I've heard all of it. And the moment if you give me 5 minutes, I can change you like that.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. It's got to get you out of your head and into your body.
Yeah. Beautiful. And I remember from afar, over the years I remember I would tell people my cousin's sponsored by Nike, so cool. And it's incredible what you built. How did that lead you to go south of the border?
It's funny how it all, didn't know how I was going to pay my rent. My life in LA was over. And now that I'm traveling with Nike, I don't have to be in LA. I can be anywhere because they're, sending me all around the world. And one of the girls that helped me at the beginning of my business, she was going to go to Mexico to visit. And we went to Puerto Vallarta. And the last night that I was there, one of my practices was I would go to the local beach, put my earphones on, and just rave out by myself. I was the crazy lady on the beach, but I didn't care. I was like, I'm not dancing for you, baby. I'm dancing for me. And there was this guy that was watching me, and he was circling me. I was just like, And then he just sat there and was just like mesmerized with me. And so finally I was done, and I sit down and I look out, and he's getting closer and closer and closer, and just the most beautiful smile on his face. And I was like, you want to talk to me? And he comes over. We fell in love in that moment. And he still is the love of my life. I'm just adorable. His name is Oliver, and we're still very, very good friends. But that was the last night that I was there. And so every time I would come home off a trip from Nike, I'd buy a plane ticket and go to Mexico. And then my community was building so quickly. They're like, we want to have retreats. And I was like, okay. I hear Tulum's a great place to hold retreats. And so he and I went to Tulum, and then we went to Playa del Carmen. And as I came home, I looked at him and I was like, I don't want to go home. I love it here. I've never felt anywhere the way that I feel here. And he felt the same way. And so I never went home.
You stayed?
I stayed.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm done. I'm done with the US. I didn't miss it for 1 second. I was like, how can you give up your whole life? I had a 2-bedroom apartment and a Volvo and a whole life. And I just, no. What I had to do was go home, and it took me 2 weeks to get rid of everything I owned. Gave away everything. I called all my friends, family, and I said, come, take whatever you want. Take it all. I don't need anything. Down to 1 suitcase.
So that was that.
That was that.
I really admire that because, again, like I was saying, people talk about that all the time, right? I'm going to do it. And then I think just in general in life, people have these goals, and I want to start a business, and most people don't take action. So what would you say that's what the secret sauce is? Like, what is the secret sauce? Because I resonate with that too. I'm the type where I'm like, hey, I see it in my head, and I immediately make it happen. And there's no question if it's going to happen or not. It just will.
Yep.
And as I've gotten older, I've realized that's an incredibly rare trait, right? So when you look at your situation, you're 1 in a million. What would you say is like the actual tangible takeaway for someone listening where they're like, hey, I have this idea, I have this vision, that of my life I want to have, right? What is it about you that actually made it so it came to fruition versus someone where it's just kind of a dream?
Faith.
Faith.
My mantra for life is life loves me. Life loves me. Life loves me so much. Life wants me to have everything that I dream. And I don't think that God plays with me or toys with me and dangles carrots in front of me to tease me. And that's for everyone. Trust your vision. Trust and have faith, because it's not for nothing. The only thing you got to do is just have faith that it will take you where you need to go. But most people live in fear because they can't figure out how. That first moment I had, you can't figure out the how, the steps. It's too big of a thing. How is it possible? I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to build a home, or I'm going to do whatever. I don't see how, even though it's what I really want. You have to have faith. You have to have faith in what created you, and what created you loves the shit out of you.
Have you had moments in your life where you feel like there was fear instead of faith? And if so, how do you get back into that state where your faith is strong? Because sometimes it's really scary. No, I'm in a situation right now where I'm freaked out. And then there's days where I'm really confident that I have a lot of faith that it's meant to happen. And then yesterday I had a day where I broke down and sobbed all day because I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to die. And this is scary. And so I'm curious for you, when you do have these moments, like how do you establish and strengthen your own faith?
Stillness. Which sounds kind of strange, but I sit in the nothingness. And the wonder of the magic. Like I said, I used to meditate 8 hours a day. Now I don't meditate at all. I just sit out in the jungle and all you have to do is just look around outside of yourself. Not even within yourself. And nature gives me so much wisdom, and I'm surrounded by it instead of concrete buildings and people in cars and the hustle and bustle of trying to survive, which I think can bring you down. But I think when you go into, how is this all possible? How in the world is this? How is it even possible? And then I go into these deeper layers that this is just earth regurgitated into this. It's just molecules. They took the metal from the ground and they made this in my closet. And it's all just a regurgitation. And I just have faith in the wisdom of the universe.
I remember when I was going through my spiritual awakening in 2017, and mine was psychedelic induced. And I remember having this moment. I was sitting up on my patio downtown Salt Lake, and I was looking at like the cars and the buildings and thinking about airplanes. And I'm like, holy shit, everything on Earth came from Earth. Is Earth. I'm like, whoa, like we took minerals from the ground and changed their chemistry, and now I have an airplane. And I'm like, that's crazy. You know, everything on Earth is from Earth. And I remember being like so mind blown. It's kind of like a high moment. But it's true. It's like, I always say that your greatest teacher in life is the natural unfolding of your life. Just, it's designedly, and I you know, I shared this in my last podcast, but like I had this moment post-surgery. You know, I went into the hospital, we do the MRI scan, we get the terrible news, everyone's scared. I have to go into emergency brain surgery. They're telling me that it's not it's not perfectly safe surgery. I could come out of there losing vision or how to talk. Like, family's freaked out. I go under, and then about a night two after the surgery, I wake up at 3:00 in the morning and I have this vision, and it was just crystal clear to me that God is so much more involved in the smallest details of our lives, that every trial or obstacle that's naturally unfolding in front of you is the perfect curriculum that you have to go through for the evolution of your soul. And it's not an error. It's not an error. It's the perfect thing that you need. And because it's the perfect thing, whether you prefer it or not, and it's probably not going to be pleasant, though it is perfect, that actually your higher self, the true essence of your being, is actually celebrating when the trial arrives, because on the other side of it is evolution. And so when I hear your story and I think about my own experience, it's like, yes, the infinite wisdom of the universe. It reminds me of a quote. It says, let me get it right. God sent madness is superior to man-made sanity.
God sent madness is superior to man-made insanity.
Man-made sanity.
Man-made sanity.
So the craziness, God sent insanity is superior than what we try and in our minds think of what's right and what's good. And this is the right thing I need in my life. And I'm going to force and manipulate and control the outcome because I think that I know, versus absolute insane chaos that just naturally shows up on your door. And I think you're a testament to that as well.
Yeah. And there's another one. I don't know if you know Byron Katie.
Love Byron Katie.
Love her.
Uh-huh.
And I love that you can try to fight with reality, but it'll win every time.
Yeah. Yeah. When you fight with reality, you lose 100% of the time.
100% of the time.
So true.
And that and that's why even like when I'm faced with, because I still have challenges and struggles.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
I can't even, like I said, I can't wrap my head around it.
And it's really hard to explain.
How can you?
Yeah. You know, when you're it's like death is very much part of my life forever, and it will be forever, because at any MRI scan, my whole life will change. That if we see regrowth, tumors back, it's like, yeah, could die.
And if it comes back, do you have to have it removed again, or they're just like, they only do it once? Or
it kind of just depends. So right now I don't have a tumor in my head, but every 6 weeks for the rest of my life, I'll have to go get an MRI to see if there's regrowth. And if there's regrowth, depending where it is and how big, depends if we can do surgery or not. You know, there's Jason Collins. He was a big NBA player. He was actually the first openly gay NBA player. Passed away 2 days ago. And from grade 4 glioblastoma. Same thing I have. He was diagnosed in December. He made it 5 months. But his tumor grew on the right side of his brain and the left side of its brain, and it had tentacles that went all through his brain. So it was inoperable. They just couldn't do surgery. And so he just had to let him kill it. So for me, I got really lucky where my tumor was fully removed. I have no tumor in my brain. I had an incredible surgeon that helped me. So I'm in a place right now where I technically don't have active cancer, which is great. So I'm trying to enjoy my life. But statistically speaking, it's going to grow back, in the next 2 or 3 months. So it's not a matter of if it grows back, it's when. It's just when. So now we're just in my life, I'm just in the game of delaying regrowth for as long as possible. And I had, last week on my podcast, I had Rebecca Devine. She lives in Minnesota, exact same diagnosis. She's on year 8 with no regrowth.
Wow.
So she's an outlier,
What did she do?
She ate keto. She's got the right mindset. She's really healthy. She did the cancer vaccine in Germany where they take your cells out and train your body to fight. So similar stuff that I'm trying to do. But, I think a lot of it is mindset. And you said something, as you have faith, you've been talking a lot about faith. Faith and fear cannot exist at the same time. You can't have faith that things are going to work out while you're in a state of fear. And one thing I've noticed, and that rings so true to me, because I'll tell people like, hey, I've got 15 months. And because they're so scared and have fear, they go, no, you're not. You're going to make it. Don't say that. You're going to beat it, which I appreciate the gesture because it's sweet and nice. But really what the core root of it is they're scared to say, I'm going to die. And so they overcompensate with, being in denial or being overly optimistic. Whereas for me, I feel like it's important for me to say that I have 15 months because I can say it directly. I really hope it's not, and I don't plan on it. And intuitively, I feel like I'm going to live for a long time. I really do. But if I were to say, Misty, I'm going to beat this thing and it's going to be amazing and I'm going to live for 20 years, what's my actual true emotion I'm feeling? Fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's fear, and I'm overcompensating. So I can't have, just like you're saying, I can't have any fear in my body. I can't, right? And I have a really good relationship with death. And if I am to die, I can accept that 100%, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah. And the reality is I'm going to die really soon.
And powerful.
Sooner.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
What is now different in your life?
Everything. There's I wouldn't say everything, a lot of things.
Like what are you doing? What are you like, what have you let go of? And what are you like what is different? I mean, I can imagine everything when you know you're going to die, but that's a kick that's going to make you do things differently.
I've never felt more alive. That's what's crazy. Is like, I don't feel like you can truly feel the most alive that's possible. You can't feel the most alive unless you've changed your relationship with death. Because I have a really healthy relationship with death and I don't fear it, it's made me feel more alive. And what's really changed, actually, this is a funny thing. I'll tell you, this is silly. For the first time in 20 years, romance is getting 0% of my energy.
Great.
0%. Romance is just completely off the table.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't give a shit. I was always like, who am I going to date? And when I'm in a relationship, what's going on with my partner, and where is she? And I want to get married and have kids. And, and that was kind of like a, growing up Mormon. That's just this, it's just like instilled in you. And when I first got diagnosed, I'm like, I'll probably never get married and I'll never have kids, and there was grief there and sadness there. And then there was relief. Because I'm like, wow, for 20 years, I was spending so much time and energy on dating. And what about this girl? And I'll take this cute girl out. And what, gone. Don't give a shit. It's great. Freedom. And I would say the other thing that changed too is everything is so much slower. It's just slower. I used to wake up and I listen to the birds every morning. And I've been doing that for a long time, but I'd have my phone out. And it's, what's the stock market doing? And what about this girl? And what about Instagram? And I was kind of in two places. And now I'm just with the birds.
None of this shit matters.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And I'm only spending time with people I want to be with. At the end of the day, it's just relationships. It's all relationships. And I just want to hang out with people that I love and make memories and just keep trying to inspire and help and be connected to God. It's the Ram Dass thing. It's love everyone, serve everyone, remember God. And it's, there's as devastating and as awful as this diagnosis is, there's a ton to be grateful for. And I just feel really centered and slow and happy and in myself. And so hopefully, I can go 10 years and be in this state as long as I can.
Kind of becoming a superpower.
Yeah, it kind of really has. I really, as awful as it is and devastating, the hardest, and I will say this, the hardest part about it, I'm not sad for me. I'm sad for my mom and my twin sister and my other siblings and my other sisters and my best friends. Just sucks. 37, I'm going to die of glioblastoma one day, and it is weird knowing what you're going to die from. I could get in a car accident. That could happen.
Yeah.
But like when you're growing up your whole life, there's like this empty space in the future of like, how am I going to die? And it's kind of like this open-ended, we don't know how it's going to happen. For me, that space is filled. It's like, I know what's going to kill me. And again, I could have the freak accident on the car ride home. But statistically speaking, I know how I'm going to die. And it's really weird to have that space filled. Because it's always a question that you have your whole life. And now it's filled. And so I wish I knew I had the words to describe it, but it does change my human experience in a way that I wish I had more words for, but it's weird.
I can imagine.
There's like the endpoints there. Yeah.
I'll bet the savoring of every moment is it's like, beautiful. Why waste your time?
And I know that you've tasted that in Mexico, right? So I'm curious if we could talk to Misty, who's in Queen of LA, fitness, throwing up in the bathroom after classes, and if she were to see you today, what would she least believe about your life?
That I'm living in Mexico off-grid in the jungle and have a 6 sibling. Like, they weren't even in the same realm. Like, the life I'm living now wasn't even a thought or a dream back then. And that was another thing about even business, is that I grew up, mom being single, we didn't have money. We struggled with money. There was never enough. There was never, and I took that program into
scarcity.
Yeah, even though I made good money, I was still living paycheck to paycheck, and I was just trying to keep up. And even after I started the Groove, I was still paycheck to paycheck. I still didn't have the dream. I'm going to buy a big, huge piece of land out in the jungle and build an off-grid oasis. It wasn't even, and then I did the work on reprogramming my mind around and my frequency around money.
How did you do that?
I rewrote all the lies, which is I sat down with, what is everything I was taught about money growing up? It's hard to get, doesn't grow on trees, never enough. You have to work really hard, la, 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 la. So I wrote down all the beliefs I grew up with, which is my unconscious program. And then what I did is I rewrote all those beliefs. Yes, money does grow on trees. It fucking falls out of the trees. It falls into my lap, and there's always enough. I don't have to work that hard. Money comes to me easily and effortlessly. Now, I had to reprogram them, but I didn't. And I rewrote them so that I could see them, and I had to believe it. So it was just like I'd have to make a funny picture in my head so that my brain could reprogram it and rewire it, which is I would see these money trees and money just coming off the trees. And that was the first start. But the thing that really made the difference is, Abraham Hicks. I had known of her and listened to her, and I really enjoyed listening to her, but I never really applied it on a consistent, like an actual practice. And so what I started doing is, it only took 2 weeks, going from almost nothing to money I'd never seen before in my life. And it was, I would sit every morning for 10 minutes only, and I would just feel how orgasmic it felt to have all the money I needed, just avalanches. I could feel avalanche money coming to me, and how good it felt to have all the support and have money to do and fly first class. And I could see myself in the airplane, just I just get into that moment and savor that moment. And within 2 weeks, I get a phone call. And that's when my Body Groove app took off and started. And it came out of nowhere because the video that started it, I had filmed 8 years before. And they couldn't find a way to sell it because it looks so different. What I do is so different from everyone else. They're like, we don't know how to sell it. We don't know how to make this work. And then they called me and they said, we figured it out. And then we became the #1 advertiser on Facebook for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It was awesome.
So one thing that I love about this is because there's a lot of people about thinking, okay, well, if I just think money will come to me naturally, then it will. No. You did both pieces. You had the vision. And then what I'm hearing is you took massive action. You built the program, you had the teachers, you did the thing, you created the app, you kept going when a lot of people probably would have been, there's probably a lot of fear along the way at moments, but you just kept going and going and going. And my favorite insight when it comes to money is that the universe responds to effort, right? So the universe will give you the insight, but you got to take a shit ton of action, shit ton, right? So even though the vision might be true and the idea might be there, you got to do your part. So when you combine these new subconscious beliefs about money, you get the vision and then you take the massive action. When you meet the person, you follow up. When you do this, you follow up, and you do this, and that's when it happens.
Well, and I don't think it's about grinding. When it's taking massive action, yes, it's taking massive action, but it's not out hustling.
Yeah.
Like,
not trying to prove, I have to prove and overwork it.
Yeah, and I have to work so hard and I have to do all this. And that's what I had been doing for years and trying to do everything and run the website and And then it was just like, I'm not going to do anything I don't want to do. I hire people to do all that stuff. Like, even if I make less money, I'd rather have someone else doing it so I've got more time for me. Like, I'm not supposed to be all those things. I'm the vision of it, but it's like exactly what you said. I think the first is reprogram the brain. 2, you have to tune into the frequency of it. And then when you're in alignment and you're tuned into that right station, then you just pay attention. And you are alert to who is it that's communicating with me? Who did I run into? What's the person I need to talk to? What's the thing that I need to do? And then do it.
Yep.
Like, trust.
Got to do it.
I have faith in, like, I know that when I'm like that, it just comes. Doesn't mean I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
But I have to go and chase it.
Yeah. No.
It will come to me and then I'll know what to do.
You got to do your part.
Yes. You have to show up.
Yep. You got to show up consistently. You got to trust, and I think a lot of people get that confused. That they're either, I have to grind myself to my bones to prove my worth out of alignment, or other people are like, I'm just going to stay home and meditate on $1 million and we'll see what happens.
Good luck.
So it's not going to happen. You got to, there's a kind of the sweet spot in between of both. And it sounds like you found that sweet spot.
I did find that sweet spot. And then I was able to, now there's like, what am I going to do with all this money? Oh my God. I've never had money. Like, I never saw more than like 2 zeros in my bank account at one time. Like, I mean, like 5 zeros. Like, I'm talking like it was minimal. Like, if I had $10,000 in my bank account, it was like I felt like I was rich. Like, that was my life in my 40s. Like, we're talking in my 40s. Like, and then I just started getting checks. I was just like, whoa, like, hold on. And so first thing I did was buy a house in California for my family, so that there's a place if anyone needs, they can, and that's where Renda lives.
Yep.
She takes care of that house.
San Diego?
In Fallbrook.
Yep.
And then I was like, and this was another thing, like my land, my one caveat, the one thing that I knew is that I wanted to feel like I lived outside and I wanted to be in nature. That was critical to me. I wanted to feel like I was just immersed in nature. And I wanted a cenote. I wanted water I could jump in every day that's natural, kind of a thing. And COVID hit, and I had started looking in Costa Rica for land, but didn't like the process. And I'm like, yeah, when it's ready, it'll find me. I'm not worried about it. COVID hits, and within a couple of weeks, my friend that was helping me with my business, her boyfriend was a photographer, was at this land, and she calls me and she's like, I found your land. You're going to buy this place. Like, what? Okay. So I went the next day, stripped down naked, swam to the back of the cenote, came out and said, let's make a deal. And I had no idea what I was going to build. I knew nothing. I just knew the moment I stepped foot on that land, it was mine, and I had to buy it. And then from there, it's just been making it up as I go. And I knew I wanted to live off grid. It's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going solar. I'm going to manage all my own stuff, because COVID hit and I don't trust anyone. Like, from the moment I heard it, I was like, I don't trust anyone. I don't trust the governments. I don't trust the pharmaceutical. I don't trust anybody. Like, I'm moving out into the jungle. Peace out. I'm not playing this game. And it's just been weird. And I still am learning as I go. I knew nothing before I started. Nothing. And I've just gone to school and figured it out as I went along. But what I knew is I wasn't going to give up. I almost ran out of money twice. I was like, I'm not giving up. It's coming. I don't have to worry. I have faith. This was my vision. Like, I have faith. And all I have to do is keep my faith and show up.
Yeah, just such an incredible story and example of just staying in the fight, keep holding the vision, even when it feels like it might fall apart. And there's been some times in my life where I have a vision and I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work, but you just stay in it. Don't get knocked out, keep it in it. It's just crazy how things you could never possibly predict unfold to bring it all together.
But that's why I think the visions, everyone has their own vision. And I think that's the voice of God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I totally believe that.
What does the future of do you call it the compound, the oasis?
My oasis.
Your oasis. What does the future of the oasis in Mexico look like, do you think?
I'm working to buy all of the land surrounding me so that I never have anyone living next to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to clear a huge chunk of land and do full food production.
Wow.
I've got some food production now, but I want to go full food production. I want to get chickens and goats and do the whole thing. And
yeah.
The next is that.
Have you read Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you would love it, right? He's probably the most important spiritual teacher in my life. Similar story, moves out of the woods in Florida because he feels like he wants to go meditate the rest of his life. And by the end of the book, he's bought all the land around him. There's people that come and stay. They host these meditations. It's like, sounds like you're kind of doing your own little surrender experiment down in Mexico.
Yeah. I
still need to get down there.
You got to come.
I got to come.
You got to come.
I got to come now.
It is truly a magic. Everyone that steps on my land is just like, what is this? And it was a Buddhist meditation center for 6 years before I bought it.
Perfect. Meant to be. Meant to be. Well, Misty, 25 years later, I still think you're really cool.
I think you are too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. I can't wait to celebrate your mom tomorrow. So much love for you. I'm so inspired by you. Everything that you're saying just lights my soul up. And I'm just grateful to spend this last hour with you.
Thank you. Likewise. And so great to connect with you.
Yeah.
And learned a lot from you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate what you're having to go through to teach us about what this is all about.
Yeah. This is my curriculum.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too.